Hi guys, Camille, what's up? Andrew, good to see you guys.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hi.
Yeah. So we just give it a little bit of time for people to join. We have some comments coming in via YouTube, which is very good. We just do 1 minute and we get started because today's session is going to be more in depth and give you more insight on what we are doing. As Andrew mentioned, we do hard things at Openfabric. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
my uni
indeed.
fellows have joined.
Okay.
Waited for one more meeting, so then we can simply start. So, yeah.
Yeah. 1 minute, we get the ball rolling. So for our folks in the comment section, drop your country flag. Let's see where you're from. Let's connect with you. Just put your country flag in the comment section. We want to know where are you joining us from.
Well, 3 or 4 guys I know already. I know them
Nice.
personally.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Abraham.
Yeah, that's Pakistan.
That's from
There we go.
Pakistan.
Yeah.
Nice. We have Pakistanis in the house.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
So I guess
Poland,
we
okay.
can start. Yeah.
Yes. So let's get started. Again, hello everyone. Welcome back to our second edition of Inside Openfabric. Today's AMA is all about official testnet, developer testnet, a step into the future of AR. As always, my name is Jonathan Marvis Clark, and I'm from the marketing team at Openfabric. Today, I'm joined by our very own CEO, Andre Tarat, and our hardworking tech team, followed by Camille and what's up. Today's session is divided into 5 segments. The first will entail a group stream of things, providing a comprehensive understanding of our technology pursuit and the big vision behind Openfabric. This segment of this session is specifically for our CEO, Andre. He's going to be telling us more about that. And then thereafter, we will move to the second segment of today's session, which is getting to know the exceptional individuals driving tech and innovation on Openfabric. I think you're already seeing the pieces. They're going to go into details and tell you more about themselves. So with that being said, Andre, we will just drop straight into you. We need to understand the technology and the big vision behind Openfabric, because this is the most important part of what we are building. As you always mention, we're doing hard things at Openfabric, and people want to know, what is this big vision? What is the technology? So let's get started with our very first question, starting with what inspired the decision to launch a developer testnet for Openfabric?
So our core idea, we'll start with developer because we are builder ourselves. So we want to first to onboard other people, to let them, use our technology, let them get in touch with it, and of course, utilize it to bring their own ideas, to bring their own vision to life. Because in a way, we are an fundamental layer. If you think as an infrastructure layer, we're a fundamental layer which let people, and especially builders, to bring their own idea to life, to present it in a way that makes sense for the end user, so they can present it in a way that it's easy for the end user to utilize those applications, those AI applications. So I guess to answer shortly your question, we started with the developers because we want people to actually get in touch our technology, utilize it, and of course build on top of it. So that's why this is the first important step that we took in our approach.
Interesting. So that also leads me to the next question, because you talked about the developer part, and today's session is specifically for developers to understand what is Openfabric technology and how you can build on it. So could you explain in a simple term what does Open Fabric technology pursue means for Web3 and AI ecosystem?
So if we take a step back and try to understand like Web3 and blockchain and AI and everything what's happening in the space, Openfabric is utilizing the blockchain and the decentralization and all these mechanics in order to ensure that we can scale up artificial intelligence. And when it's saying scaling up, it's not like we're just allowing people to execute more powerful, more interesting use case, but also it's that we let end user to make use and get in touch with the AI technology. So in a way, people saw the potential of AI technology when they're utilizing, let's say, ChatGPT. But of course, ChatGPT is just one use case. People can build millions of that. They can bring their own idea. They can put into reality whatever they can think about. So I guess this is what Openfabric does. It utilizing all these innovation from multiple domains like blockchain and AI, combine them together in a way to produce like a new ecosystem, because it's not only we're not building a technology, we are building an ecosystem. We are building a new place where people can join and either utilize the application or build them. So in a nutshell, Openfabric is not just a technology, rather it's an entire new ecosystem.
That's fantastic. So that leads me to the third question. How does a developer testnet contribute to the overall development and improvement of Open Fabric technology? Because we know that it is the official testnet, right? How does that contribute?
So I guess to answer the question, it makes sense somehow to understand, how people are relating with the AI technology today. So either we are people, like utilizing like, ChatGPT or similar solution, that there are just a few limited use case. Also, there are people seeing in the social media or talking about it, but they actually never use that AI solution. And of course, there are people building this kind of solution, which are people who truly understand what's in the box, understand what's under the hood. They understand how hard it is to build such solution. So I guess it makes naturally sense to start up with, to let people who are builders, who are developers, to be like the early people who can, access our technology and start, utilizing. And of course, we get their feedback, we get their ideas, and polish up further our tools, polish up further our developer toolkit. And I guess it's a great start, because it's, in a way, it let people see the potential, and at the same time we get their feedback and we manage to improve our technology further on.
That's very good. The response that you gave is really good, especially talking about collecting feedback and integrating the feedback that we get from developer into what we are building. I think that's a customer-centric approach. So that leads me to the next question. In what ways do you anticipate the testnet to enhance the scalability and reliability of Open Fabric technology? I think this question is more about making sure that we are reliable, and how do you go about that?
So, as any, early technology, as any new invention, it won't work like perfect from, first day. And, this is something normal whenever you're inventing something, you're putting a new idea into work. But, by utilizing the feedback and by utilizing, all this input from diverse people who are, building and bringing a lot of use case, a lot of AI, application, that will allow us to, to improve and accelerate our process of improving our protocol. Because, we can think by ourselves of bunch of use case. We try to see which are the most used one. We try to, to understand what people utilize. But in a way, the best feedback that you can get is by the builders, people who are understanding what's in the box, people that can challenge your assumption, people that can push further, your idea and the power of the protocol we are building.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And now that we talked about the technology part, let's dive a little bit deeper into the big vision. Can you give us an idea of the timeline of subsequent stages of development of open fiber technology? We want to know the timeline. What's in the future? What is the big vision?
So right now we have what we call the foundation. We have the underlying protocol which is capable to execute AI application easily. And when I say that, it's about end user experience. So we managed to reduce the friction. So from an end user perspective, he's utilizing an AI application as it will be like a normal web page. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to understand what is transformer, what is a stable diffusion. You don't have to understand all these very complex terms, which in reality are out there. So we are reducing this friction a lot. So basically, people without very being very, very technical people or having advanced infrastructure are able to make use of AI technology. So right now we have this foundation, but of course we're going to build on top of that. And I just had like a discussion with Camille. So the next big thing that is going to be launched will be the possibility to combine multiple AI applications and to create like a hyper application that is basically combining multiple simple use cases to create something which is more closer to the end user. Because in a way, right now AI technology is viewed as a way of a sort of very very low level use case. Use case that you do like a classification, use cases that generating an image, use cases that in doing something, a single task. But I guess the future of AI, it's about creating AI application that can embody these multiple submodels to perform even complexer tasks, even interesting use cases. So what we're seeing now and what we provide them right now is it's just the starting of the upcoming things on our protocol.
It's clear to me that the future is very promising, especially the part where you talk about combining multiple apps to build something. So if you are a developer and you are in the comment section, make sure you pin somebody to join you right now, because there's tons of information that you will need to share within your space. So now that you talked about the vision and the timeline, let's talk more about could you elaborate on the long-term goals and aspiration for open fiber technology? Let's know the aspiration, the long-term goal, just beyond the testnet. So after the testnet, what is the long-term goals?
So currently we're launching our Developer Testnet, which we're going to open up for all the people willing to build, to bring their own ideas to reality. Then the next stage will be to open up the testnet for everyone. Basically, get access to everyone who wants to use it, everyone who wants to build on top of it freely. Of course, the testnet by itself it's an exercise. It's also a good way to get feedback from people. So we're going to get all that feedback. We're going to get all that input and apply it to polish further our tools, our protocol, our developer tool set, everything, so we can improve in an accelerated way. Of course, the end goal is to launch the mainnet, to make it, to launch the real protocol. That is something we want to be used by a lot of people, and it's something that is going to be running as in a decentralized way. So these are steps. These are different steps to enable such things to happen. But of course, by getting the feedback from a lot of people, by getting the input, we are able to accelerate the process. So that's why we started with the developers, starting give them access, because this allows us to improve our protocol in an accelerated way. And I guess if you look at how the AI space is currently evolving, everything's starting to evolve in an exponential way. So this is something that you're going to see also happening with Openfabric protocol. All the innovation or the advancement is going to be going to start and it's going to be accelerated.
Again, Andre, every time you provide answer to a question, it is clear for me or people in the audience to know that the future of Open Fabric is promising. It's very big. That is why we do have things like Open Fabric. So to wrap up this segment of you talking about the technology and big vision, how about the insight? You mentioned about the feedback collected, the input and output. So tell us, how would the insight gained from the testnet shape the future roadmap of Open Fabric AR?
Um, so if I get the question right, so I guess everyone who's want to be involved into that into the the developer testnet, everyone who's willing to contribute, he's welcome, because in a way we are building like an ecosystem. We're building not only a technology, we're not building just a piece of software which run over a computer. Rather, it's something more than that. That is like the internet. The internet, in a way, it's a huge amount of computers interconnected. There's some software out of that, but in the end, the internet is also about the people. It's about the people who's utilizing that. So in a way, Open Fabric is trying to replicate, the same idea as the internet created for people to exchange data information. We want to create a similar network where people can exchange in a way, they can utilize, intelligence services. They can exchange like, wisdom, intelligence, not only raw data. So in a way, it's not only about building the technology, it's about building, a vast network where people are important. People are the one who's utilizing all this technology, and people can, take advantage out of that in a simple way.
Absolutely. Andrew, thank you for providing more answer to the technology part and the big vision of Open Fabric. We will still come back to you because today, as I mentioned, today's session is more of an in-depth session, giving more information about documentation, developer documentation, API, and all of that stuff. So before we move forward, let's go to the second segment. So you guys are listening to this webinar and need to know more about who are the people driving tech and innovation behind Open Fabric. And this is the time where you get to know the people within our tech department, the ones that are doing the hard things, that are working together to make sure that they bring real world solution to you. So we will start with you. This one is for Camille and you, what's up, Mohammed. So we want to know, right, what sparked your interest in tech, innovation, and how did it lead to you joining Open Fabric? Let's start. Anybody can go first. Camille or Wasai?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Camille. And well, to answer the question, what sparked, it's, I guess, it's kind of simple, not really that crazy. I was studying cognitive science initially. I spent the first 3 years doing bachelor's of cognitive science, and then I started the master's. And I was kind of feeling that, cognitive science, for those of you who know, it's a pretty vast field of knowledge. There's a lot of disciplines going on. You can go into philosophy, you can go into neuroscience, you can go to computational fields of it. And that's what drew me the most, computers. That's where I spend most of my time. And it just kind of, I started to get more and more into the deep learning part of neuroscientific field. And it just kind of rolled down from that place. Just part with me that this is kind of the field that I feel the most comfortable in, and that there's just so much interesting things happening. And to see, coming from background when we try to crack the brain, seeing something having amazing results on tasks that humans are doing well or not that well is just exciting. And I think that is what sparked this in me to follow that path.
Interesting. Mohammed.
For me, I'm still a student. I will graduate next year. Yeah, Camille is senior than me, but I was always interested in in creativity and development, things like that. But as soon as I learned about data science and AI, so I'm studying data science here in Pakistan from Fast News's University, and all this hype about AI and data science. So I started researching like what is actually the field of what's so interesting in it, that people are shifting from this software side more to the AI side. And then researching, and then I was thinking everybody is just using ChatGPT. If somebody wants another huge AI application, they're paying for that. why isn't there a place that everything is all in one place and there's one structure that's using it all? And I just searched for different companies that were doing this thing, and I stumbled upon Openfabric. That's how I found the website, and I was like, okay, this company is exactly doing the thing, but it's doing in a much more complex way to understand, because blockchain, Web3, I was not really familiar with those things. But as I started exploring it, I was like, yeah, that's really good. As I joined Open Fabric.
That's fantastic to know, man. I mean, if you are a developer and you are in a space, basically you're paying somebody to join this session. That is why we do hard things at Open Fabric. So you guys talked about the reason why that led you to join Open Fabric. Let's go a little bit into your background. Could you run us through your professional background?
Yeah, for me, I did a couple of internships related to AI. I published a research paper, but all of those things were related to more of working on the models, creating models, training models, all those technical side that users don't see. Even if you look it up, like, okay, this is my research, you read it, you go like, okay, so what? How does that benefit me? So yeah, it's really all the working you cannot showcase to a user, you cannot showcase to somebody that's going to be using it. So the original portfolio of mine will be developed here, that I can really show. I show the apps to my friends sometime. I'm like, yeah, here we go, create something with this, and they're like, wow, so many application all at one place, and I'm like, yeah, that's what we're building here, and it's also secure. So that's my experience. So it's been like 1 year that I did an internship, and now I'm working here. So yeah, I'll improve more. I'll gain experience here more.
This is just the best place to be. This is just the best place to be. That's why we work together as team and we provide more support to one another. And we do
Yeah,
hard
it's
things,
always
of course.
something new. It's
Yeah.
hard and it's new.
So Camille, let's go to you.
Sure. Well, as I've mentioned before, my background is in cognitive science. I've done 5 years of studies in that department. And for the past 2 years, somewhere midway the master's degree, I got drawn into the generative AI field. It was just the time that the VQGAN and clip architecture were making rounds. People were like generating first images. Well, not the first, but like the wave was starting to get some traction. And I just remember being completely amazed, that you can just generate an image, out of a text, and it was at the time it was kind of psychedelic, but with months and months going, it was getting better and better. And I feel like thanks to this, I was so happy, that we started to build at Open Fabric making a lot of use of these generative models. I remember that the first one I was doing about voice synthesis was a bit different because it was generating voice, not images. But it just kind of felt like a good, like I was just waiting for this kind of option for this whole 2 years, like go just working alone, like just digging through these new models. And yeah, now I feel like it's kind of fulfilling to be, really working in this field. So yeah, that's pretty much me.
This is that's a really good reason and really good background for people to learn something new from you. So this leads me to the next question. How do you stay updated with the latest advancements and emerging trends within your space? Because you are in the tech department. So tell us, how do you guys stay updated? How do you guys stay on top of top information?
What I'm gonna say is it's hard these days to stay updated, because the way every other hour you see a new company emerge, a new AI model, a new everything. You will start developing on something, and 2 days later there'll be a better model available.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna say that it's improving faster than we consume it. But the way we stay updated is, for example, I have a task, large language models. So I'll research that on, look at the models available on GitHub. There's a few companies, Nomic AI, Stability AI, OpenAI is also working. So all of those companies, they're like, we usually you research around that area. You also search for different like GitHub repositories, and you're looking for what people are working on. So if you have a specific task in your mind, a specific task that you're doing, when you're researching that, then you're really aware of it. As relative to, like, I cannot know everything about AI. For example, something with voice synthesis, if I haven't worked on it, like it's staying updated with that would be really difficult. But when I start researching and I find different models on here, there, Hugging Face, PyTorch, then I'll get to know, okay, so this is how what people are working on. I think that time has passed when you should read research paper on how the model is working, but it's time of more of using the models in a better way.
Yeah, I'll just add to it a funny twist that we all right now know this meme. Um, Check out this 47 new ChatGPT plugins that you gotta know not to stay behind. And I think that sums up pretty much what's happening right now. But I would just add to it that, social media like LinkedIn or Twitter has become also an amazing like source of knowledge, because if you follow people that are working in the field, you're getting so much, new papers or GitHub repositories that are just like popping in every day. And I guess it's like what I would recommend, what I recommend, what I try to do is to stay calm, when reading these, because I think that's important to mention. And just have some time in the morning or in the evening, to just go through the things that are the newest. Just don't push it to yourself to be in touch with everything, because you can't do that. But you can be in something that interests you, and I think that's the right way to do it. To just focus on what's like your horse in this game.
So, guys, I mean, if all of you that in listening session, if you are listening again, this is a really good way to stay updated, and they just give you some examples and ways that you can explore. And this leads me to the last question for this segment. We already got to know you, and now let's go a little bit. What excites you the most about the future of tech, and what areas of technologies do you believe will have a significant impact in the coming years?
Well, I think that right now this is the year of the large language models. That's for sure. So it's hard to see what's going on. Like, I think a lot of things from the more kind of like visual and sound sphere is going under the radar. Like for me, what I would say personally is my favorite thing that I'm waiting for is the 3D generation. And we had a great chance to work on some 3D models in the last 2 months at Openfabric, especially the newest Shapey. Yeah, it's an amazing things are happening in the sphere of 3D, but it's still kind of like we're still not there yet. So I think in the next months, like the problem of image and scene generation from text prompt, not from images, is something that I think will be tackled more and more, and it will become better. And it's going to be just amazing having an opportunity to generate 3D objects without having a very serious GPU and do it in high resolution. I think this is something that will rock the world. At least the creative part of fields, disciplines, stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that very much.
Cool. So,
Yeah.
Mohammed, let's hear from you.
Well, I to look at the AI field like everybody else does. That this is something sci-fi, science fiction. Let's see, people are flying planes with the AI is controlling everything. AI is driving. There are holograms everywhere. So I do believe in some of that. I'm like, we are gonna change the virtual reality world. There's gonna be AI, and most of the things are gonna be automated. You don't need to worry about writing the code in the future. AI will write it for you. There's going to be, if you want to connect with somebody, you can join using into the virtual reality. So all of those things are really I'm really excited about that. We are doing things and making things that if you tell somebody 100 years ago that this is something real, they'll be like, no, this is black magic or something. So yeah, that really excites me that we live in such a yeah, such a timing that we are part of the development process, and at the same time we're going to experience the end result of it also. So that's something great.
That's really, really good, guys. I really want to say thank you guys for providing more background into your experience and expertise at Openfabric. So if you're just joining us, this is our Developer Testnet Launch Q&A session. We have a pre-selected question we have already asked Andre. If you're listening, please make sure you leave your comment, your question in the comment section, and our backstage team will provide us the question, and we will ask the question on stage. So we're going straight to the test segment of today's session. So the test segment is more about a live demo tutorial. As I mentioned to you, this is more about for developers, and we want you to understand exactly how Openfabric works. We don't just say things. We prove to you that this is what we are doing. It's real product. It's something that is working. It's something that is a real world solution. So we will go straight to the test segment, and that has to do with you, Camille and Mohammed. What's up? You guys are going to present a live demo tutorial and show to the audience what you guys been doing, the hard things in the back end. So thank you. I think
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can share the screen.
Sure. May take a moment to load up. Just let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
All right.
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but
it will take a moment.
Oh, yeah.
It should get better. Just let me know when we have full clarity on this.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, it's clear now.
All right. So welcome to our little demo. So the plan for the demo is pretty simple. We'd like to go through the major steps of what we go every time we are building an application. So basically, we'd like to showcase you from the point of creating an architecture, conceptualizing it, through creating the ontology using the Openfabric SDK, and also to look at the Python code that's then behind the application's working. At the end, we're going to show you the application that we're going to show the code for, and I think that should quite a much of information for the demo. So maybe let's dive in straight to it. Here's the architecture.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're developing an application, you have to understand what you're working with. What's your input? What's the configuration? What's the output? So input are all those features that user is going to enter. User going to enter the details, what they want, what kind of the output that they want. What kind of input will they give to? What's the expected input? So once you define those, that for example, a user would want to enter age, a gender, emotion, or race to generate a face, and the output is an image, a face image that is generated by the AI. And the configuration is something, for example, like in our case, is a template here, which means that the user can modify the application according to what he wants. He can edit the template. That's going to generate the image. And if he doesn't want to edit the template, they can use the default template. So all of these things will make sense. But the overall architecture is something that you define the first time when you're trying to build an Openfabric application. So right after that, you're gonna write commands to make the files and folders to create the application project that you're gonna deploy on the Explorer, AI Explorer. So Camille is gonna run the commands or show you the commands.
Yep, sure. Just one thing I wanted to add, something I thought about since my first apps that I built was that this kind of thinking in terms of concept and ontology helps really well to get started with building the application and building it in some in some order. So basically it kind of turns the chaos of initial kind of thinking, designing into something much more precise, concise, and just easier to grasp. So without further ado, let's try to use the commands of the Openfabric SDK to build our ontology as the one in the architecture. So making sure you have the Openfabric toolkit installed. Let's open it, and let's just go one by one with the commands. The first command is a command that creates the ontology. We're passing the name of the ontology and the author's name, and having that, we're creating the initial directory. We can take a look down in the Finder here. As you can see, we have creating the initial directory for our ontology. The next thing we have to do is we have to populate the ontology with some concepts. As you can see in the architecture graph, concepts are these major parts of your application that define the output, config, and input. There can be more than these three concepts, but let's stay with these three for now. So now I have created three of these concepts for input, output, and config. And as you can see, these directories appeared here. These directories, as you will see when you'll be browsing documentation or Openfabric, define the layers that create ontology. So we have different layers here, and for example, the one most important, the structure, it defines us certain properties of that structure, including the properties of each concept. So what are the properties? As you have seen in the architecture, each of these concepts has some properties that define what is going to be this concept. So for the input, we're going to have some properties that we will allow user to input in the interface. So let's say it's going to be as in the graph presented. We're just saying we want to create a new property, and this new property will go to the concept called input features, and then we're just listing all these properties one by one with the type that the property is of. And there is a whole plethora of types that you'll be able to see in the documentation. For now, let's say we're just going to have an integer and text fields. So now I created properties for the input features, and I'm doing the same for all the other concepts that I defined. So for the face output, since it's going to be an image generated, I'm defining it as a binary file. And the last concept that we've had, so the input config, it's going to be a template in the form of text. Now that we have created all the properties, we can get to creating a boilerplate. So the command changes a bit, since now I'm using a command generate Python project. And thanks to that, I'll be able to generate a project named AI Face Gen. And this project will consist of the files that we will go in depth in a moment. But before we start going through these files and building the application, we have to connect the concept we created to the Python boilerplate. So in this case, we're going to be using generate Python connection command. And it works in a simple way. We provide the name of the concept that we want to connect, the source of the ontology, the parent directory of the ontology, and we are defining whether it is an input, an output, or a config concept. And also the output, so the directory where the app boilerplate was generated. And now I can just simply do the same thing for the output. Please do note that the parameter here changes because I'm connecting it as the output. And the last thing, which is the config. Now that we've connected every single concept we created, we can just take a quick look at how does this even folder look like. As you can see, we have created the whole ontology folder in which you'll be seeing files in which you have defined the properties of the concept you've created. And you have the boilerplate, which will consist of every important thing to run your app. So now to give you a glimpse of an actual application, let's go on to Visual and go through the face generator application. So where do we start?
Project.2ml. So when you get the boilerplate of an application, you need to add all the dependencies that your application is going to use to this file pyproject.2ml. You mentioned, for example, you want to use Torch, you want to use Diffuser, this accelerator library. You mentioned there versions that you need to install, all of these things here. So we use the Poetry framework to create basically a file poetry.log that is going to be used whenever the image is going to generate it. All these dependencies are going to be installed. So once you mention all of your dependency here, you just basically run a command poetry install, and it will create the file poetry.log. And this is and whenever you the next file that you need to edit is the Docker file. So inside the Docker file, most of it will be already generated. So the first line will be whether you want to use GPU or not. So you can just change the line at the end of the line. There's GPU. You can change it to CPU. So that's the only difference that you can change based on whether you're using GPU or CPU. But most of this file will already be there. But for the installing the poetry, you need to write this run command that we have written here. It can be simpler because the experimental installer is now not used.
Not his
But
anymore.
yeah, but you want to download a model, you want to something that you want to be installed, or any dependencies. You mention all of these in this Docker file. Now
Yeah,
the
and
main
just
file.
add to it, the Docker file can look much differently for any one of you. It all depends on
Yeah,
what kind of application you're building. Some application will require some more downloading files or preparing something during the build so it wouldn't happen on the runtime. Some would be much simpler than that. It all depends on what you're building.
yeah. So the next important file, that would be the main.py. That's the file that we there where we implement all our models, everything we need to use the application. So first, we like the boilerplate. When it's generated, the most of the inputs are there, but any extra inputs that you want to for your model, you can mention them initially. Just how a normal Python works. So then you load your model. The global When you load the model globally, it's not loaded every time a user runs the app, but it's loaded one time, and then you can run the app again and again. It will not be loaded again and again. So once you've loaded this model into the pipe file, in our case, then we define a template. The user enters emotion, age, race, gender, and it goes into that template to generate a face. That's what we're trying to do. So I've defined all of these things globally, and the user can say, okay, I don't want the way the faces are generated. Maybe I should change the template. So he can use the config. So when the user goes to the customize application option in the Explorer, he can basically change the template to whatever type of template he wants. So that's the one important function. But the main function that is run every time the user presses the run button is the execute function. So this function is basically all the implementation you need. All your magic goes here. You receive the inputs, you put them in the string, the prompt that you need. You check whether the configurations are changed, or you want to use your default configuration. These are some of the things that you do usually. The implementation, I'll say this, it can vary from app to app. There can be this file can be like more than 100 lines, and this app can be smaller than this. But in our case, we are generating an image, so we sent the prompt to the image, to the model, sorry, and an image is returned. So whenever we want to display something on the AI Explorer, display an image, we need to convert it into certain encoding. So the next few lines are just encoding the image into a certain format that we're going to be using, and then we output that image to the UI. So when you run the application, this execute function runs, creates an image, it makes it into a format that's going to be visible on in the Explorer, and there you go. That's your AI face generator.
To add to
That's
it,
what you need.
because you may be wondering about the output class and what is it really. And you remember before we were connecting the concepts to the boilerplate. So basically, what we did was we connected them, and they were created in this separate directory here called ontology and the schema ID. And here you can see that these are the output. This is the output class. It's defined here, and as you can see, as we defined it in the SDK, the images of field of type. Well, in this case, it's a string, but since we're encoding the images, they represent it as a string. You can see the config here. You can see the input features. So this is what stands behind the input, output, and config classes. And this is what we create when we connect the concepts to the boilerplate. So yeah,
Yeah, you can show the
summing
Explorer.
summing it up, as Vizal mentioned, it can be much longer code, much shorter. You can have the whole backend working in some different Python scripts, and you can import them here. The important thing is there are these two basic functions that you can allow user to create their personal configuration using the config function, and the execute function is the main function that performs the action, that performs the whole logic that your application is performing. So yeah, let's maybe go to the Explorer, and let's go through this scenario that we have completed building our application, right? We have the whole code, we tested it locally. So now what do we do? What we can do is we have to just, zip our uh, app directory that contains the app boilerplate, and we zip the ontology directory that contains the ontology. And what we do is we go to the Explorer. As you can see here, we are at the marketplace, and there is this option to create a new app. So what would we do? We would just simply, fill up all these fields here. We can add an icon, give it a name, page generator, give it a price, wherever you want. You can add descriptions. Let's say we're gonna go a bit faster with these. An important part is here, the execution. This is the place in which we are dropping these files, the application. Oh, sorry about that. The application and the ontology. And we don't have to fill in these values, as they will be extracted by the platform themselves from the ontology file. An important thing is that this we can choose the execution type. The face generator app is of type single. It simply returns a generated image. But perhaps in some future demonstrations, we could also go through an example of a recurrent application, which basically runs indefinitely. And for example, deepfake application is a recurrent application. But for now, this is a single type of execution. There is some more information you can put in here, key features, description, tags, categories. You can also add images and the banner representing your application. There is a whole plethora of things you can add here to make your application stand out, to inform well what is it doing, what are the features of it, and at the end you simply publish the app. But since the publishing and installing the instance may take a moment, we're just going to go ahead and check out the face generator itself on the platform. So this right here, we already have an instance, and this is how the app looks. Now, it's one of the most interesting things for me was to create an ontology, which is basically a set of JSON files, upload them to the marketplace, and suddenly, see an interface, a good-looking interface with drop downs, and it was a pretty interesting experience. And gotta say, it's damn easy to build apps like that. So we can show some examples that we generated using this application. So, well, you can imagine an app that we have just shown you was not that much of a code. It was just simple commands. And we are here with an application that generates images of people.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that whenever you think of developing an application, you think of how the UI will look, how will I, where will I deploy it, where will be the cloud, and all this, how many users will use it, will it be down, will it be up. So there's a whole bunch of things that you just skip. You just don't need to worry about because the infrastructure handles it for you. So that's something really interesting, that to see how the development, the way we develop AI application is changing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's if there is anything we could add to it, interesting you'd like to know more.
Yeah, I guess that's good with them, but
Yes.
That was really fantastic, and I want to say kudos to you guys. Definitely doing hard things in the tech department. As Mohammed just mentioned, like everything is just on the system. Everything is within the same place. You don't have to worry about where you're going to host your app, your application. We have infrastructure providers, tons of different infrastructure providers. You have options that you can choose from, and we have the tools necessary for you. And developer support obviously will give the full support. So that moves up to the test segment. Now we talked about how easily you can build an app. let's go more deeper into the documentation, the API part, where for developer is going to be very important for you. And this segment has to do with you. I'll see you, Andre. You're going to be the one presenting on the developer doc. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I'm sharing my screen. I hope you see it.
Yeah.
So you basically just show how people how some real people build some real application. And you just see the process, and I mean, of course, you see like the condensed part, because they kind of skip a lot of steps, skip a lot of explanation. But the cool part is that we built the tool set, we built all this documentation, we built all these, toolkit, all this Python SDK, all of these are built in a way to ensure that it reduces the friction point. Like, it's reduce the time how people can actually build application. So as you saw in today's demo, as a developer, you don't have to bother your mind with infrastructure. We don't have to bother your mind, setting up CUDA or drivers or things like that. You're just building an application. And when this is done, you just pack it, you upload it in the Explorer, click on the publish, and then that's it. After that is deployed on top of Openfabric protocol. And after that, people are freely to use that very, very easily. So as you see in today's discussion. But of course, when you see things that just works, things that seems to be easy to, and are working smoothly, they have a lot of things under the hood to make sure that all this happens. So as we discussed in the previous session, when I give like the high level overview, we got that part that we call the dev kit. So the dev kit, it's like a set of documentation, API, SDK, tutorials, all of this, designed in a way to simplify the process and to reduce the friction for the developer building on top of Openfabric. So as you may be seeing in my screen, we have a pretty detailed documentation about, how Openfabric is working, what it is like an AI application, what is ontology, because in a way, ontology, it may see just something that is generally the user interface, but under the hood, this is more than just that, because it ensures, the connection of those applications with underlying protocols. So there's a lot of details and in-depth explanation of all the things which are required to be known by the developer in order to build on top of our protocol. So of course we have the command line toolkit that you just saw demonstrated by Camille and Vishal. We also have the Python SDK, which is the part providing the framework. You saw the Python application. It provides the frameworks that you can build your own AI application utilizing Python. There's another thing which wasn't presented today. We call the integration wizard, and essentially this is something that let people to integrate and consume AI application from other layer one. So essentially, they can be like a smart contract in other blockchain, and they can call AI application from the top of Openfabric at a smart contract level. But I guess this is something that we'll be exploring in maybe in another session. So to wrap it up, regarding all these tools, all these documentation, all these command line toolkit and SDK, we are already providing them. Provide access to developer to use that and build on top of Openfabric. So we'll be more than happy to welcome you to start building, to start exploring how you can bring your own application, your own idea to life, utilizing Openfabric technology, and we're very excited about that.
Thank you so much, Andre, for sharing that short demo on the product documentation. As Andre mentioned, we are super excited to see you on board, see you building something real. And the goal is for you to help contribute to the global issue, build real-world solution using Openfabric Explorer. that tons of resources available to you and full 24-hour support available to you as a developer to unleash your potential. So all you need is just your imagination to start creating something promising for you and in the entire world. So we usually have pre-selected question. For those of you that fill up the survey form the last session, we have your question lineup, and for the ones that are in the comment section, we will have them put on stage so we can answer them. And this is the last segment of today's session. Yes. So this one is the pre-selected question, and this one is for every one of you, Andre and Camille and Wasa. You guys can contribute. What kind of feedback are you hoping to gather from developers through the testnet experience? What specific feedback do you want from developers?
So I guess the most important feedback is to get to understand how we can, update our tools, our, documentation, our building tools, because in a way there are tools used by the builder to build things. How we can get this kind of, insights from the people building real things. So as we have today, like Camille, like Muma, who are through real people building real AI application, we got a lot of feedback from their side. We got a lot of insights of how they're utilizing, how they're structuring things, and this allows us to improve a lot. So I guess by providing access to a lot of more developers, we'll be able to get more insights to sharpen even more our tools, to make that even more simple to use and simple to integrate with other things.
Awesome. Camille, Andre, do you guys, Awasa, do you want to add something to what Andre's just mentioned?
Yeah, sure. For us, definitely the part of feedback on the toolkits that are available is something that would be great to have, especially since we've just started a pretty fresh small project to develop the Python toolkit for the developers to have good tools that are helping with specific problems that we've run into in the applications that we've built. So it would be an immense help to have some good feedback on the whole process of building the Python part of the application from our point of view, because we do feel there is a lot of things that we come upon pretty frequently, issues and things that we have often, and it would be great to confront them and build some helper methods and tools to just be available to all the developers to kind of speed things up even more than they are now.
Yeah, and they might overcome some problems. They might face some problems that we like overlook, or they're building something that's much more complex than what we have worked on. And from those experiences, from their discussions, from all of those things, even we will improve too. So it's a win-win for everybody.
So yeah, that's developers. You already out there. You're listening to them, and this is what they want from you. Once we open up the testnet, we want you to provide as many feedback as possible. Make sure you give us the complicated feedback, and they will be right there to give all the support and answer to make sure we include that into our product. So this one is another question that was pre-selected. People want to know what excites you, individually, about the most, excites you the most about the potential impact and possibilities that the Developer Testnet Launch brings to Openfabric. Who wants to go for it? Andre?
Yeah, well, I guess one of the most, clear advantage of being one of the earliest, earlier pioneer, in a way, a pioneer, because it's about pioneering a new way of, building a application. I guess, people which are, early into this involved, they will be able to have like a head start. So when the protocol will be launched on the mainnet, there will be people already getting some products, already getting some really cool AI application that will be capable to monetize. Because in the end, as I mentioned, we are building an ecosystem, but of course, an ecosystem without an underlying economy, it's very hard to be maintained. So in a way, we let developers to monetize their own idea, their own application. So basically, when you're publishing an AI application, you will be able to set a price. So essentially when a user will make use of your application, they have to pay you in return. So I guess one of the most important gains that comes from for the developers beyond like experience and getting to know a very, very good at technology is that they will be one of the pioneers that will have the most interesting and most useful AI application when the mainnet will be live.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would like
Kamel,
to add to
yep.
that. Like even like for the beginners, that beginner developers that are really in AI enthusiasts, they only see the AI applications on the collab and run it there or somewhere there's GPT. But like seeing all a bunch of different AI application in a marketplace that gives you easy access to develop this application, that's also a good thing to people can for learning purposes also. If you look from the economy perspective, it's even better. So yeah, that's something good, that's something exciting to look forward to.
Fantastic. Kamel, do you want to contribute?
Yeah, I fully agree with you guys. The fact that the barrier for entrance, which is pretty high for, even if it's financial or if it's infrastructural, it's kind of non-existent here. What you have is just you have a set of tools, you have your own creativity, and you just like it is kind of there is some sort of a barrier. I mean, you have to learn about it, right? It's something new, it's something different, but it's this kind of meta move within kind of thinking about building a application that I think it's needed. It's fresh, something fresh, and yeah. So that's what I want to add.
Yeah, thank you guys for providing that answer. We have a couple of questions coming from within our community. For those of you that are in the Discord, keep sending your question and keep leaving your question in the comment section. So we have this first question that I'm saying. It says, in terms of supporting AI applications, what are the key differentiating factors and advantages of dedicated layer one blockchain designed exclusively for AR compared to general purpose layer one blockchains that accommodate various use cases, including AR? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I guess I can answer that. So
Okay.
I suppose the main question, or the main thing that the person is asking is about what is the difference between Openfabric and other layer one. So I guess in order to better explain that, we have a bit to understand how the Web3 evolved. So initially it was like Bitcoin, who essentially was just transferring value. I'm sending you a couple of Bitcoins, so I'm transferring some value to you, or you're sending back, so we're exchanging value. The second class of layer one was like Ethereum. Ethereum created the idea of smart contract, the idea that you can have like smart money in a way you're capable to execute smart contract in a decentralized way. So this was like the second important thing in the Web3. So I guess most of the ecosystem, most of the project were revolving, around that idea you have a smart contract and building utilizing smart contract. Openfabric, we say, is the next natural step. So we are not only about transferring value or just executing smart contract. We let people actually to execute AI application in a decentralized way. So this is like we are pushing the limit itself of Web3. We're pushing the limits of what a layer one means. So in our approach, basically, we don't let just people to transfer value or execute smart contract. We let people do that too. But most important, we let people to utilize AI application. We let people to integrate calls to AI application in the smart contract, which we think is like the next step in Web3. And we're building something that is fundamentally shifting the idea of Web3 and what can decentralization and how blockchain can be used in a new way, because it's not only about these traditional things that we all know, like transferring value or executing smart contract. It's also about provide like a new degree of intelligence to all this infrastructure and utilizing the power of a network of nodes, we call it a planetary scale network, to execute and utilize AI application very easily. So that will be like in a nutshell what we're doing compared to what's happening around and how the ecosystem looks like.
Thank you. I mean, if you are in the comment section again, I think Andrew just provided a really good answer to your question, and we hope that answer your question. But if you need to ask any further question, feel free to drop that in the comment section. We have another question that's on our board. Is how does the specialized architecture of the AI focus layer one enhance performance, scalability, and efficiency specifically for AI workloads? And what are the potential trade-offs or limitations that not need to be considered in this specialized approach?
Yeah, so I guess there are two ways of looking of building AI solution. I call it AI solution because this is like the enterprise way. Basically, if you're like a company and you're willing to build your own AI application, you need to set up your infrastructure. You have to set up everything by yourself. In a way, and I like this comparison. If you like it, you want to be like an Uber driver and you have to build the roads, the car, everything by yourself. And this is what is happening in this moment. So I guess one of the hardest entry barrier for everyone is that they have to build the infrastructure part. They have to build everything for themselves. It's like if you get back in when I was younger, when the internet started, people creating some network, they were interconnected, but they were running locally. They have to build everything by themselves. But internet is like the underlying infrastructure that runs everything that we see today. If even current call is done to the internet, so we don't care how it's working. We don't bother our mind how a specific image is getting on your computer or how the underlying things are functioning. So in a way, by creating like a layer one, which specially designed to scale up artificial intelligence, it's about abstracting this part and hiding all these complex details. You don't have to bother your mind. If you're like an Uber driver, you don't have to bother your mind anymore with building roads and cars. You're just driving. So in a way, this is the power of creating a decentralized network which is able to execute AI application. And of course, when it's about the scalability, the more computational power you get, the more powerful your network gets. So in a way, by building an open and decentralized ecosystem, we let people to jointly provide their computational power and in a way to rent their computing power to be used by the people to execute the AI application. So as you see, we build this kind of ecosystem that has not only like a technical solution, but also provide like economic foundation so that all people are interacting and everyone gets, it provides some value, like developers providing application, infrastructure provider providing they're renting their computing power, data provider, they're selling their training set or data set that can be used the developer to create some interesting AI application. And of course, the user is utilizing that and it pays for that. So in a way, everyone is incentivized to provide something of value and get something valuable in return. So this kind of approach is something that currently do not exist in AI space. So just to wrap it up to your question, I guess the simple answer is that by creating a decentralized network, you're capable to jointly and to bring people together to work that normally they do not work together. So this is something very powerful, and this is something that has a great potential in the long run.
I mean, thank you so much, Andre. You really articulated that response, and I mean, the guys in the comment section have understood exactly what you just mentioned, and I think he is very much satisfied with your response. So we'll move to the third question that we have. This one says, could you tell more about your project's tokens and how it will be used within the ecosystem? Then they did a follow-up. They say, will you be launching the token initially on an existing blockchain, or will it have its own mainnet from the start?
Okay, so starting with the first part. In order to create like a decentralized ecosystem, like a decentralized protocol, you have to create the underlying economy. So, in order to do that, you will be needing like a native token, something that will ensure that everyone is, is capable to doing like exchanging value, like exchanging value, doing payments. Of course, to create healthy reward system, this is important too, because if you have healthy reward system that punish the people who are misbehaving and encourage people to create good things, yeah, so you need a token for that. So in a nutshell, we're going to have like our built-in native token, who's going to be used to to run this entire economy and us to govern it in a way, because when you all the rules, we're not going to be gatekeepers. All the rules will be encoded at the protocol level. So when somebody is doing something bad, the protocol itself will punish it. When something is doing something good, the protocol itself will reward it. So this is very important, when you're building such type of ecosystem. And now regarding the second part about launching the token, so of course we're going to launch our token in on basically on Ethereum, because in a way we have to launch our economy before we actually because we want to involve people in the testnet. We want to involve people and to get involved in what we're building. And of course, it's going to take some time until we have like the final version of the mainnet. So, initially we're going to launch it as ERC20. Then we're going to migrate that to our own network.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you're in the comment section, I hope Andrew gave you a more in-depth answer to your question. So this one will move to the fourth question. This one say, what are your plans for marketing and promoting projects to ensure its visibility and adoption? They also did a follow-up. They said, are there specific target audiences or market segments that you are focusing on? And what strategies or channels will you employ to reach and engage with them? And additionally, how do you plan to differentiate your project in a competitive landscape and create awareness about its unique value propositions?
So I guess the simple approach to that will be to attract builders, people who are building and see the value. I mean, people as Camille and Vishal, who they understand how complex, how hard it is actually to build an AI application. And by give them all these people the tools, give them the means to build it and bring their own idea to life. I guess you just showing my demo from the last session about the deep fake and all these interesting use cases that it's something to see them in a video on social media, but it's a different type of experience when you're utilizing that. So in a way, we want people to bring their own idea to life. So we're going to start, with the builders. And right now, there are a lot of really, really talented people out there, but currently they are missing a way to, to utilize that talent and to make it available and to practice with that. Because it's also about practicing, right? Because you may be a smart guy, you know how to build certain AI models, but in a way, you're just running on your computer. This is not fun, right? But on the other side, when you're building an application which could be potentially built by millions of people, then it's another level. Things are definitely more interesting. So in a way, we are builders, and we want to attract people who want to build and who want to build something significant, something which it makes sense and provide value. Of course, on the long run, we also have some plan to provide grants for exceptionally projects. So people building exceptional use case, exceptionally an interesting AI application. We have a grant program to stimulate all of those people to build even interesting, even powerful application on top of our protocol.
That's a really good answer, Andre. And just to add up to what Andre just mentioned, in our last session, I think we answered this question again, and it's kept repeating, which is good. We are simply setting our value to our target audience, and Andre just mentioned that there are tons of different strategies that we have in place to attract more developers and our audience across all channels. We already have an active social media channel working, and it's gaining more traction. So, yeah, that moved to the the fifth question. This one says, how much market, this one is very important, Andrew, this is for you. How much market cap Openfabric will have on launch date?
Yeah, well, this is something that we can't disclose yet. It's going to be disclosed at the right moment, where we're going to have a discussion about the economic model and how all these, part are working, and to provide the in-depth explanation of all of that. But currently, this is something not for today's discussion. It will be detailed on a future discussion, when we're going to discuss about and tackle about the economic part, the economic foundation, as I've previously mentioned.
Absolutely. That question, as Andrew just mentioned, we will provide more answer to that on our next session. That means that's something that we need to really come together, have some understanding of how this is going to play out before releasing any numbers. It's very confidential. So this one say, why not an extended beta testing? This is a very short question. Why not an extended beta testing? To want to know what can we do extended beta testing?
I guess the question is more about, okay, why do we choose to start our testnet for targeting developers? What is not for general audience? So in a nutshell, you can join as everybody can join in see the Explorer and start using that. But we're going to prioritize and give tokens. Because you need tokens to run application. You need to have tokens in your wallet. So we're going to get more priority for the builders, because right now, and as I mentioned, the main focus for the developer testnet, it's about to sharpen up more our tools, to understand better, to get more feedback. So of course you can join, you can see the application, but if you don't have the tokens in your wallet, you won't be able to run them. But the testnet itself is open. You will be able to see it. You will be able to navigate all this application, as you just saw previously in the Camille screenshot. Yeah, it's going to be open, but we're going to give priority to the developers, because I'm not sure if you're familiar, but running an application is very computational intensive, and we're going to use the current execution power in a way to get more feedback and to sharpen up even further our protocol.
Awesome. Thank you for providing answer to that. So move to the second question. Again, if you are just tuning in, this is our Dev Testnet Q&A session, and we did a presentation on how you can build an app on top of Openfabric protocol, and we also do a demo on the documentation, and of course building an app within our Explorer. And we are at the last segment, which is the Q&A from both pre-selected question and the ones in the comment section. Again, if you just tune in, just make sure you leave us your question in the comment section, and our backstage team will be right there to ping that out to us, and we will provide answer to your question. So this one says, security is really important and valued by users. Would you mention Openfabric security measures? It's a question. What is special for your security, and are you audited? They want to know whether we are audited. Andrew, this is for you.
Yes. So I guess in order to, I guess the question is more about how we'll handle different type of security threats that can be out there, right? Because security is important, but not only security by itself, because there's different type of security. So there's part of the security that ensure that the user data privacy. There's part of security that ensure the intellectual property get protected in a way. The builders building some crazy application, they just work a lot. They don't want that idea to be stolen by somebody else. So there's multiple way of thinking of how you can handle and ensure security. So of course we got some really complex mechanics under the hood. We describe them very detailed in our technical white paper, and also in our scientific publication, because we build our protocol starting from research and development. So all the core idea which are related, also to security, also to ensuring privacy, ensuring intellectual property, all of these are fundamental of scientific research. So I'm not going to get very much into the details, but right now we have mechanics that ensure that user data is it's secure. So basically, no one except the rightful owner has access to that information, and also the innovator intellectual property get secured. So for that, we created something that we call trusted execution environment. There's a lot of cryptography stuff under it. There's a lot of technical details. But if you want to find out, specifically how all of these are working, I highly encourage you to have a look over our, technical white paper, which you can find on our website, and also to have a look maybe on the research paper that we publish along the time.
Yeah, just to add to Andre, you can also visit our website to get all the more information that you need, especially in terms of security. He just mentioned the white paper they are all listed there. You can just go through it for yourself and have an understanding of how our security measures are working. Yeah. So this is the question. This one say, why a protocol is specially designed for AR application? Will it also be possible for non-AR projects or applications to be developed on top of your platform? If so, what are the potential advantages or unique feature that your protocol offers to non-AR project or application?
So why I guess it's important to get them part by part. So why did we focus on AI application? So we focus on AI application because they have some specific requirement. They have some specific setup that you need them to run. You need like a GPU. You need like a lot of things like they understand CUDA. There's a lot of moving parts in place to actually run an AI application. So we focus on that because are the hardest one to tackle. Of course, if you have something that can run very hard, very complex application, it can also be used to run simple application, of course. But our main focus is not like running simple application, because you can do that already. You don't need like an entire protocol to handle that. You don't have the same complexity when you're building a simple application. You don't have the same complexity as running an AI application. So our focus, of course, on running AI application, which is the hard part. But of course, you can utilize that to run simple application too. There's no specific limitation for you to do that.
Okay. So again, in the comment section, and you just provide an answer to your question. And we will have one more question, and we will have to close the stage for questions. So this one is for you, Camille, Andre, and Wassa Mohammed. As a developer, where do I need to apply if I want to contribute to AR application?
So right now on our website, we provide the possibility for people to join the waiting list. We get some basic information about them. We get like a sort of pre-screening. And of course, they can simply add their details there. And of course, if we think that there are some people, or they even can start contact us over our Discord channel. They can start reaching us, on social media. We're open to let people to contribute, to let people to build on top of our ecosystem. So there are multiple ways. They can do it on our website. They can contact us in our Discord channel. We are here. We're answering them.
Okay, awesome. Camille and Mohammed, do you want to add a little bit to what Andrew just mentioned?
Yes, it's essentially the same thing that if they want to contact us, we are basically available. It's the internet. You can access us from anywhere on GitHub. Even if you want to learn it, you can learn it from YouTube. You can read the documentation. So all the necessary details that you need are provided for you. So, and if you want to join, you can join us. You can just visit the website. You can add your details, apply, and then you join the wait list. Then you can develop the applications as normal.
Awesome. Camille?
Yeah, throughout the whole process of developing, of course, we are going to be available. We are, we're really open to share some knowledge, perhaps, do some more in-depth diving into actually writing the application from scratch, because it takes a moment, but it's a fun ride. So, we're waiting.
Yeah, there's gonna be
Yeah.
a few things that people initially will be confused about, little things that they'll spend like a day and then they'll realize, oh, that's not how it should be done. So we can help out people with that. We can, even make more videos or sessions like these to make people understand like how to actually develop out what's the proper way to go for it.
Good.
Don't just start randomly.
Absolutely. So we're not taking any more questions, and we will wrap up this question. But before we wrap up, I need you guys to give the audience one line that you want them to remember about this session, want them to remember about Openfabric. Go for it.
If I wanted to say, I would say it's a country, and we're building like a country. It's totally different from what people see it, how people view the AI, working on collabs and everything. This will be like a completely different. It's a space. It's like a yeah. It's something to remember. Keep that in mind, and in the future you'll say, oh, that's what he was talking about. That's what they were talking about. So yeah.
Yeah, I would add to it that the Open Fabric ecosystem puts much more creativity in your hands. It puts the AI building in your hands and gives you, the creative freedom that you need to fully just let your mind go with the ideas that you want to build. And I think that's the key here. The power in your hands. Something like that. I'm not good at slogans, but guess the truth.
Andre,
Yeah,
what do you want to remember?
I guess the most important part, that people, they can remember from today, session is that we just show a glimpse of, how our technology works, how easy it is for them to actually build on top of our protocol. And we hope, that we're going to polish even further our tools. We're going to improve even further our technology. Just consider we just invented these things. So we just created all those tools. And you saw that how easy it is for people to build on top of our protocol. So I guess, we want more people to see them, building this kind of interesting, like, deepfake and face generator and voice synthesization, all of these, interesting use case. And of course, in the process, we're going to make our tools better. We're going to make our documentation better. We're going to make the entire process smoother for everyone, and especially developer, because today's session was about developers and building things.
So guys, thank you so much. And if you're just tuning in again, this is our official Dev Testnet Launch Q&A session. As just mentioned to you, if you want to take away anything from this session, just know that as Wasas mentioned, we are building a country, country on its own. And just imagine building a country, you have everything embedded into it. And now Camille mentioned that we are building a platform that allows you to unleash your creativity. Just unleash your power. And Andre is all about invention. And to wrap this up, I want to say that our team at Openfabric, we are building hard things. We do hard things at Openfabric, and want to say thank you so much for joining us today. And please do stay tuned for more amazing AMA sessions from us. We're going to leave the survey in the comment section. Feel free to fill up the survey and give us your feedback. We love the feedback. We love to hear from you. We love to hear what do you think that we should improve on. So Andre and our listener, thank you so much. Camille, thank you so much. Mohammed, and
thank you very much
for
Thank you,
joining
guys.
us. Do have yourself
Thank
a
you.
pleasant evening.
See you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.